What's up, everyone? We're back. I promised you all a second video on how to do in-depth research when sports betting so you can gain the edge and become more profitable in the long run. So today we're going to be doing just that, specifically for NBA. So I'm going to be making other videos in the future as well for other sports, but today's going to be NBA focused because for me, it's been the most profitable. So let's get straight to it. So as always, we're going to be starting on the projections page of PickFinder, making sure we have the correct sport selected at the top here. In this instance, it's going to be NBA since that's the sport we're going to be talking about today. So make sure when you guys are initiating your research, you have the correct sport selected at the top, or you can click all if you want. Next step is to make sure you guys are using these filters. I explained on how to use these filters and all the features of PickFinder in the last video. It's called the PickFinder tutorial video. So make sure you go check that out before watching this video because it explains almost everything. And if you're wondering, we completely revamped the user interface of PickFinder, which is why it looks so different. But let's get started. So make sure you guys are starting with these filters up here. So I'm going to start with the last 10 hit rate filter right here. And I can see that lots of discounts show up like the 0.5 free picks on the apps. So I want to remove all these modifiers. So I'm just going to deselect all of them and analyze all the main lines, the regular lines. So my first step and my first goal when analyzing the projections page is going to be to look at lots of consistency. So in this instance, I want to find a player that's going to go over their projection. So I want to look at this entire row right here being green, the entire row. So let's just scroll through and see what we can find. Right here, we can see there's some reds. I don't like seeing that. Red here, which is the head-to-head, which is going to be one of the most important, which I don't want to touch. Then I see here, Zachary Richichet, this entire row is going to be green. He's on a streak of 9, 100% against this other team. He's doing amazing. So I see that as first quarter points as well. So I'm just going to click on this to analyze the player stats. So that's the main first step. Is going to be analyze the projections page. I found someone with lots of consistency. I'm not going to lock it in just yet. I'm going to click on the player to analyze the stats, okay? Next step is going to be huge. So the players page is going to be one of the most important pages to analyze. So once I'm on here, I want to look how he's done this season. So I'm going to click 2025. I can see lots of consistency. He's hit this 81% of the time this season. I'm going to click regular season because I don't want to count preseason games. And I can still see lots of consistency, which I love. So next step is going to be to check how he does against his opponent. So against the Kings, he's played one game. If you click the opponent filter, and you can see he's even hit this in the regular season against the team he's facing next, which looks amazing already, right? So I'm going to deselect this so I can go back here. But let me tell you guys, so my main goal when analyzing the players page, I have 3 things on my checklist. So you should always have a checklist, which is basically in the back of your head. It's not really written down. The first one being is to analyze, this is very important, to analyze the bar chart and consistency of the player against their opponent and stuff like that. So that's number 1, which is what I just did. So that's going to be one of the most important as well. Second on the checklist is going to be to analyze the matchup, which is defense versus position, team rankings, which I'm just about to go over right now. So that's also very important, how they do against the other team and how the other team they're facing is in general. And third, finally, is going to be their minutes and the injuries. So we're going to analyze that as well. Those 3 things, guys, should be on your checklist in the back of your head when you're doing research at all times. I've always used it for the past 3 years. I've always had this checklist, and it's helped me out so much. So let's get started right here. All right, so since the first thing on the checklist is marked off, I analyzed the consistency of the player. It looks really good, lots of consistency, has an 80% hit rate. Mainly the average hit rate I look around for the player is going to be 75 and up when I'm going over on a player. So 75 is the minimum threshold. So make sure you guys are analyzing that. Make sure you're analyzing the opponents as we just did. Next is going to be the team rankings, okay? So when we're analyzing the team rankings, I'm going to first be starting off with defense versus position, okay? So the Kings right here are 27th at defending points to the power forward position, allowing an average of 25.9. That's amazing. We love to see that. So they're not good at all in defending points, and that's the statistic we're taking, which is points. So you got to match it up from the defense versus position to the stat that you're on. Of course, it's the first quarter. It's not going to be the whole game, but still, it doesn't matter. It's still points in general, and this applies to anything that's not first quarter as well, any regular statistic. So just that's all I need to look at because I'm only looking at points. If I had a rebound stat here selected, then I'd want to analyze the rebounds. And points, rebounds, and assists, I'd want to analyze all 3, and so on and so forth. But that marks off, so that looks pretty good. But it doesn't fully mark off number 2 on my checklist because I got to analyze the team rankings. So let's look here. The Hawks, again, I'm going to be looking at points. The Hawks are 7th in points versus the Kings defense, which is 20th. So you guys can see visually, it looks really good as well. The Hawks offense is very good when it comes to points. So that, again, very good. It's marking off my checklist. Next is going to be the win predictor. In this instance, it's not going to matter too much. It looks like it's going to be a close game, which doesn't matter because we're doing first quarter. If you're going over on a player's total points throughout the entire game, you'd want it to be a close game, just so there's no blowout, because a blowout means the players are going to get taken out early and they won't be able to play as much. So it doesn't really matter in this instance since we're looking at a first quarter player. But let's go down. We can look at the matchup odds, the money line, which again doesn't matter too much. But there, we looked at all the matchup. Again, the second matchup also has to do with the opponent filter here, how he does against the other team. So literally everything is marking off our checklist. Number 1 is marked off. Number 2, which is the against the team and the matchup in general, that's marked off. Number 3 is going to be the injuries. So let's analyze the injuries now. So now we want to analyze injuries to see if there's any specific players that are going to be out, which can alter Zachary Richeche's gameplay or anything in general. So we're going to use this, as we stated in the last video, the games without filter, to see how he does. So we can see 3 injuries on the Hawks team, on his team. So we're going to see how they do. We also added a new feature to PickFinder as well. If you scroll down here, which is going to be the depth chart, you can analyze starters, bench players and stuff like that. You can see their position as well. So let's just scroll down so we can mix and match them. So first with Seth Lundy, we can see that he's out. We'll click games without. And the bar chart doesn't move at all because he's never played a game without Seth Lundy. So we're just going to go through it until one of them changes. So again, nothing with Cody Zeller. Let's do the last player right here. If we click games without, so this one does change. So without this player Vit, he still has a very high hit rate. He's still hitting this line, which looks really good. And yeah, overall, that's mainly what you want to look for when filtering games without a specific teammate. In some instances, there's going to be main starter players on these injury lists, which is going to alter the gameplay more. So make sure you're analyzing, for example, if Anthony Davis is injured, LeBron's his teammate, right? And you're looking at LeBron's assist statistics, right? And you click games without Anthony Davis, it's going to be altered because LeBron passes to Anthony Davis a lot. He's a center, and he's always getting ready for a pass from LeBron. So I've actually analyzed it before. LeBron had a lot of stats in his last games. I clicked games without Anthony Davis, and the assist line went down by a lot. So make sure you're analyzing this in any instance, and make sure you just clicking games without to see how they do without the player. So it looks good. And then you can also do games without the other team. So the Kings without Sabonis, he's never played. Malik Monk, he's never played. And DeMar DeRozan, he's never played. So make sure you guys are using this. In this instance, the one game he's played without this teammate, Vit, still looks good. So that marks off the third on the checklist. It looks really good. All 3 things have been marked off on my checklist. And let's also look at minutes for the last one. So mainly what I do for minutes as well, which is pretty important, but it's mainly minutes are important if you're looking at the entire game. First quarter and stuff like that, it still matters. But let's just start. Let me show you guys. So right here, you can see in 2025, he has an average of 26.4 minutes. You can move this minute slider, as we said in the last video, to a minimum of 26 minutes. Which doesn't really matter. Again, I'm just showing you guys in general because right now it doesn't matter because it's just the first quarter. But if we're talking about a whole game, you move the minimum minute slider to 26 and he'd still be hitting his line. So make sure you're always looking at the minutes. It's very important as well. We're going to be adding minutes 2 quarters very soon to PickFinder. We're working on that already. So you won't have to do the minute slider stuff like this if you're looking at quarters. But yeah, guys, that's mainly how I do my research when looking for an over or under on a player. If you want to go under on a player, just do the complete opposite, basically, where you would look at everything that's below this line or below their line, and just analyze the defense versus position according to the under, basically. And make sure you guys are doing that checklist. The 3 main things, again, let me say it again, the consistency in the bar chart in the last few games or the season with the minutes and against the opponent, the matchup stats, defense versus position, team ranking, stuff like that, and then the injuries. Those 3, if you consistently analyze and do your research on and make bets according to that, overall, you will definitely be profitable. And if you bet consistently as well, this is what I've been doing for so long and it's been working. People in the PickFinder Discord know as well. We've been doing this and our hit rate in the last week has been around 85%, which is pretty crazy. Research really does help, so make sure you guys are doing that. I'm going to show you guys an example of what I wouldn't look for in the projections page, and I'll show you guys that real quick. So we're back on the projections page, and I want to show you guys what not to do when doing your research so you can actually be profitable and not make a bad decision during your research. So as I stated before, when you're going over on a player, you want to make sure all these are green, and if you're going under, you want to make sure all of these are going to be red. And again, this is only to initiate your research. This isn't, you're not just going to be locking it in based off this. This is what you want to look at initially before you go more in depth on the stats. And again, you could filter by the lowest hit rate here on PickFinder as well, hit rate. So right here, we'll go back to the best hit rate. So let's say someone's looking through these, they see some reds here, and then they see, okay, they're like, Norman Powell only has 2 reds, 33% against the team he's facing next, head-to-head matchups, and then his streak is 1. So then they click into it. Looks pretty good, right? 90% hit rate in the last 10, looks good. Let's check this season. The regular season looks good. 79% is still really good. We like to see that. And so again, as I stated before, let's go through the main 3 things on the checklist. We're going to call it the PickFinder checklist. So whenever you guys are doing your research, make sure you're using the PickFinder checklist. Number 1 on the PickFinder checklist is going to be, as we said before, to analyze the consistency in the last few games, the bar chart. And then we're going to click opponent here. So we're going to see how Norman Powell has done against the Warriors in the past. So let's go ahead and click it. So, okay, now we see here, he has not hit this against the Warriors in this season, which is already pretty bad to see because we saw lots of consistency here in the last few games, and then against the Warriors, didn't look too good. So that's giving us mixed signals. Against the Warriors, it's not good, and then the last few games, he's been doing good. So already not off to a good start. The first on the checklist, I'd say is half marked. So let's go on to the second to see if anything else looks good. So let's go to defense versus position against the matchup. So we can see here Norman Powell is a guard. He usually plays, I believe, shooting guard or small forward. But let's just go, make sure you guys are going to the depth chart to see what they're going to be playing at that specific game. So right here we can see small, he's going to be a starter, a small forward. So let's go to the defense versus position and change it to small forward right here. And let's analyze the steals. We're going to analyze the steals since that's the stat we're on. So let's scroll down here and we can see the Warriors are 6th at defending steals to his position, allowing an average of 1 to all the positions. So honestly, this doesn't look too good. As you can see, it's color coded as well, orange, red, or green. Here is orange, which is not too good. It's going to symbolize that already. This is not looking too good, especially since he didn't hit it against the Warriors last time, right? So that's a lot of mixed signals already. So let's scroll down and look at the team rankings. We're going to see steals. Again, the worst. The Clippers offense is 11th in steals. The Warriors defense is 1st. It just visually doesn't look too good. They are not very good at steals against the Warriors, which is why analyzing the matchup is so important. Again, win predictor, not too important here. In this instance, it is in other instances. And then let's go to the injuries tab where we can filter. Steals, I believe, won't matter too much, or injuries won't matter too much when it comes to steals. Injuries mainly matters in points, rebounds, assists, stuff like that, but we'll still look at it. So games without PJ Tucker doesn't change. So again, he hasn't played any games without them. Let's see without Steph Curry. He has none without it. Lindy Walker's got 0, which was last time, which was 20 days ago, as we said before. And then all these players, DeAnthony Melton, none. Kevon Looney, none. Okay, so overall, the first initial look at this, 90% in the last 10 looks good, right? That's why it's so important to analyze and go in depth on all this research and not to just look at the last 10 games. This is a great example, Again, it's not going to guarantee that he's going to go under, but overall, this means to not touch this bet at all. Do not touch it. Go find another bet that looks really good and just take that. So again, on the PickFinder checklist, the first one was half marked, and then the other 2, not good at all. And especially when it comes to steals, could be risky as well. You don't know. Steals can be a bit risky. But overall, again, the PickFinder checklist is what I want you guys to start using when doing your research. It's going to be in the back of your head. You can write it down as well. This is what I've been doing for the past 3 years, and consistently my bets have actually been hitting, and I've been able to gain the edge. So make sure you guys are doing your research. And if you guys want to find more, rack up a whole parlay with the Zachary Rishashare one, then you can as well. All you got to do is the same exact research and just look through. You could, like, for example, just go to this, Bogdanovich, hit this every season, so on and so forth. Just follow the same process, make up a parlay, and that's exactly how you do research using PickFinder, guys. So I'm recording this after we added a few new updates to PickFinder, which are pretty huge. So let me just run through it real quick before I end the video here. We got Malik Beasley for points. So I want to show you guys the minute slider in action on a regular game because I only showed it for the quarters. So right here, let's just do what we did before, filter by regular season. So Malik Beasley, there's some red here, right? He's not getting his games. But if we see right here, his average minutes is around 29. So let's just filter minimum minutes of 28 per game. So you can see it's a lot more consistency. A lot of the red games are gone, and he's actually hitting this line much more. So when you're betting on a regular points line, not quarters or halves, you can do this, and you can see that when they play the minimum minutes, they're actually hitting this line. And if you check the matchup again, looks close, which is good, which is a good indicator that he's going to be playing a lot of minutes. So the main stuff we added to PickFinder is going to be supporting stats right here. So you can analyze the minutes per game. If you see right here, like this game, he played 29. You can match it up from the bottom to the top, which is very helpful. You need to be analyzing the minutes for NBA specifically. So each game is lined up like this. You can see, and then you can see personal fouls per game, field goals made per game and attempted in the back, 3 points made and attempted, and free throws made. So make sure you're analyzing supporting stats. It's a huge update we added to almost all sports, and it's very, very useful. And let's go back. We have another update we added as well, and I'm going to show you guys. So let's say you're looking at a rebound line. For example, we have Cade Cunningham here for 5.5 rebounds. Obviously looks really good. So let's scroll down here. This is another feature we just added, which is average potential rebounds per game and also average potential assists. So it's going to be right here for rebounds since we're selected on rebounds. You can see Cade Cunningham is second on his team, averaging around 12.3 potentials per game. And you can see lots of more statistics here, guys. The average rebounds, rebound chance percentage, rebound distance, all these are going to be helpful to analyze the stats and so on and so forth. So you can match these up. And if you want to see his potential or anyone's potential rebounds against their next opponent, you go up here, click this box versus the Bucks. You can see. So it's a bit different. He moves from second down to here. And then right here, you guys can see the same exact analytics. And if you scroll down, you'll be able to see the rest. But this is going to be filtered by the rebounds total. You guys can see here, top to bottom filters by rebounds total. So still looks like a pretty good line. And the same thing goes for assists as well. We have that for assists. And funny enough, as I'm recording this video right now, we went live yesterday on TikTok and we posted 5 slips, guys, for NBA, and we cashed all 5 of them. Proof is going to be on the screen right now. We literally went 5 for 5 on NBA, posted them in the Discord. So many people cashed and tailed. Again, the Discord is an addition to PickFinder. What you're mainly paying for when you get the subscription is going to be the tool itself, so you could do your own research. We just give picks out just for fun, just as an addition. So make sure you guys sign up. Only $15 a month. It's the best bang for your buck, cheapest on the market, and it's a great investment if you want to consistently increase your hit rate on sports betting. And that's all for the video, guys. This is exactly how I do my research every day and how it's been working for me. So make sure you guys are not only using the PickFinder checklist, which is one of the most important things, but also when you're initiating your research, analyze players that have been playing consistently, and then select them and then go in depth on the research. So that's how you do it. Make sure you start on the projections, then go in depth. But I appreciate everyone for watching the video. I'll be dropping more videos soon as well on different sports. Next is probably going to be CSGO, which is going to be an esport that's PickFinder has as well. And esports are very profitable as well. If you do the right research, we have lots of different features as I showed you guys before. Right here, we have all the match odds, the potential blowouts, and supporting stats, lots of different stuff. So that'll be in the next video, guys. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment as well. Give us any suggestions or feedback, and we'll be more than glad to add them. Love you all. Take care.